In this video, I'm going to give you 5 quick tips to help you find the best font for the next graphic design project that you have. Thanks. Let's talk about fonts. So I think it pretty much goes without saying, with any sort of project you have to do, you have to consider your audience, which is the first point of the video. So whether or not it's a kids' play centre or you're redesigning something for a university, you have to consider the font. Now, a font is obviously incredibly important in getting across tone of voice, and so that has to be considered. You wouldn't be using something like a sans serif font, for example, for a kids' play centre. You'd be using a hand-drawn font. Who is your audience? What do you want them to feel? And what do you want them to know about this particular place, brand, whatever it is? What do you want to communicate to them, about the brand, instantly? Critically speaking, is super duper important to understand your audience when it comes to picking the right font. The reason for this is to use the example of a kids' play school and a city library. You would typically expect a play school to have sort of hand-drawn font, primary colours, very bright, very sensory, because that's typically the audience they're going for. They're going for children. If you applied that same sort of system to a city library, it doesn't make any sense. It would literally look like a library for children, because the ways of which we use that particular format has been kind of widely accepted to be for children. So when thinking of a library, for example, you use something studious, and a studious font would be something like a serif. So sort of like your Helveticas, Times New Roman, Arial, all the old school classics, plus the new ones. They would be the ones that you'd be strongly considering more. So it just adds that to that sort of point that knowing your audience will help you a lot in choosing the right font for your project. Point number 2 would be ideation. So to come up with different ideas, brainstorm, basically. With any creative process, it's really, really important to brainstorm, because the further you look, the more sort of succinct, more on point that your choices will be. They're very justified, because you clearly considered a lot of things, and you've gone, well, out of all of them, this is the best. Instead of blindly just choosing a random font that you think works, consider many things. In this example, I'd like to think of a gym. So in the brainstorming phase, I'd like to think of words that I'd associate with a gym: strong, muscle, lean, powerful, fitness, weights, healthy. And as a graphic designer, out of all of these things, the biggest thing that I can actually think of in that sense is weights. One, because it's a term for typography or font. You can get different varying weights from book all the way to heavy. And this was something that I wanted to use. And you can see the example of the logo that I quickly used, or even the font that I chose. All I did was start with a very light weight and move up to a heavy weight. The same thing that you would do in a gym. And for that reason alone, font choice could be so powerful that it could even be the logo itself. So if you ideate, you come up with these ideas, and it's a very, very clever tool for helping you pick the right font. The more you think about things, the stronger your ideas become. And the stronger your ideas become, the more justified they can be, which means you've made the right choice. Point number 3 would be purpose. What's the point? There's loads of different reasons why we use font or typography, varying different situations. It could be a billboard trying to get you to buy something, or to just to notice it, for example, or it could be the small print that we all hate, right? There are many different reasons why we use typography, and it has varying amounts of functions. What's your function? What's the function for it in this particular design? We need to find out what that is, and then we need to find the most appropriate font to convey that purpose. If we don't, we'll end up with some weird stuff going on. The viewer, again, will get confused. They won't know what's going on, and what will happen is you'll find out very quickly that people get confused by the messaging, and it just doesn't come across very well. You wouldn't use tiny font on a danger sign, you know. People are probably going to get hurt. So there's a reason why it's super duper important. Obviously, I mentioned danger sign. Color is a huge thing for you to note down. Red is obviously something that's universally known as stop. Green is universally known as go. Also health, and also pharmaceuticals, for whatever reason. But they're they've been standardized. People accept it. So color choice is exceptionally important and helps drive the purpose of your chosen font. Point number 4 is something that I feel like a lot of designers can fall foul to a lot of the time, and that's legibility. Legibility is quite literally how legible something is. How well can you see it? And in this example, what I wanted to do is I wanted to create quickly 2 danger signs. Now the first one has a black font. It's a sans serif font. It's very large. It's black on a yellow background to add to basically help engage you visually and to let you know something is wrong. Immediately you can see the message. Immediately you know that something is dangerous, and you can then alter your behavior as a result of that. Let's look at example number 2, where I have used quite possibly the most horrific font known to man. I have made it smaller. I have made it white on yellow. The legibility of that font, or that is so difficult to read that you probably already hurt yourself, right? So there's a reason why legibility is important. So much so as well, if you're designing something for a client and the legibility is poor, they will not like it. Unless it is unless it's intended to do so, there is no way that people will like a font that is illegible. But for the most part, there's a lot of function and intentionality within font. We need to adhere to that, and we need to make sure that we are sensible in our choices when it comes to legibility. Lastly, I wanted to look at font pairing. And the reason for this is I think it's largely overlooked by a lot of designers out there. And it's a huge tool that you can utilize to make your design stand out even more than they probably already do. A lot of people use typically just one font for the entire project, and what happens is your eyes tend to get quite bored of seeing the same thing constantly. So basically adding an extra font in there to allow for contrast will help the reader or the viewer to not get basically bored of looking at the same font constantly. 2 really quick ways to add quick contrast to designs, typically with font pairing. One is to use exactly the same font, but to change the weight of the font. Much like the previous logo we made quickly for that gym concept, using this to create contrast within headers and subheaders and body copy. Really quick, a really efficient way of ensuring that the font has a bit more of a flow to it. It breathes, and you don't get bored of it. Another really quick way would be to use a serif and a sans serif together in conjunction to create a nice quick bit of impact, a bit of contrast. Typically you find that sans serif, they are quite weighty, blocky, they're quite big, thick things. So using them as headers typically comes off well in this example when you're pairing it with a serif font. Your serif font can then be utilized for body copy and subheadings if you need to. It just allows, again, a bit more breathing, a bit more momentum with it, and your eyes don't get bored so much. I personally like the way that a serif and a sans serif, when used in conjunction with another, how that can come across. That concludes the video for today. That was 5 really quick ways to help you choose the right font for your next design project. I hope you enjoy the video. It's the first one of this really that I'm doing. I will be doing a lot more. If you like the video, because you like the video, please, that'd be great. If there are any topics you want me to look at, I'll be happy to do that. So if you drop that in the comments below, that'd be cool. And if you think your nan might enjoy it, then if you click the share button, that'd be great too. But if not, no worries. Just do it. Thank you very much. Take care, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks.